Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki Howie of ChakraBoosters.com, the creator of Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos. And today I want to talk to you about certain inalienable laws that apply to each of the chakras. Now, there could certainly be more than one for each chakra, but I thought it would be really cool to pull out what seemed to me to be the most important law for each chakra and look at it so we can really feel into what is this chakra all about and what is it really representing and teaching us. So we're going to start at the root, chakra number 1, and work our way up to the crown, okay? Thanks for being along for this ride. Starting with the root. The root chakra, as you know, is at your tailbone. It's red, it's earth, it's masculine, it's the protector. Okay, it's protector energy, and it's the settled, stable, or you could say stuck energy, right? Think about how roots are. That's how the root energy is. And it represents the manifest world because it is the densest energy in the rainbow of our chakras. The energy as we move up our body gets lighter and lighter, which makes sense. It's like going up toward heaven. It becomes all spirit at the top and almost all, there's always energy, almost all mass at the bottom. So you get the slowest, densest energy in the root. But what you get in the root is mass. You get physical manifestation. And this law here is the law of physical manifestation, which means that energy in the root, in repetitive forms in the root, becomes mass. It becomes an object. Through time and space, it becomes something. And we see this in its natural form when we watch nature just grow a seed over time, right? But there's also a delay in the way that energy itself can manifest. Like when you have an idea and then you begin to voice that idea and begin to love that idea. And then you take action in your solar plexus on that idea. And then you get creative about it in your sacral and you do any problem solving that you need to bring it into fruition, which is in the birthing of the root chakra. So the law of physical manifestation is that all energy that's in the root that is kept on repetitively, like think about water on a rock. You would never think water could put a hole through a rock, but it can. It can manifest a physical hole in the middle of rock by simple repetition. And the law of manifestation is simply that energy in repetitive form, in the low, dense forms of the root chakra becomes manifest. So this is why it's so important that if you're a very upper energy person, or you like to consider yourself, you'd say, I'm very spiritual. If you're not also grounding and doing root chakra work, then you're not going to manifest anything because it's almost as if no one's home down here. The machinery of the lower chakra where the physical manifestation actually happens isn't there. And we've been taught to think that if we visualize, it comes out in manifestation. And that is true if somebody has a good, strong root, if they have perhaps a good family background, good childhood. But if you had a very dysfunctional childhood where it was not safe, that's the key thing, it was not safe, and you did not get fully embodied, that machinery, I'm using some interesting words here, but that area of your body, the root chakra, that actually creates physical manifestation isn't really working completely. It's like you're absent from there. So that's why I say it's so important that if you're already visualizing really easily, but it's not manifesting, check your chakra scores because it's likely that you really are missing your lower chakras, particularly your root chakra. And when you work on the root chakra, then you can really start to appreciate the physical world and you can start to dance with physical things. You can start to create them more easily. Money becomes easier. Home, which is both a thing and also very representative of the root chakra because our root chakra relates to our home base and our ancestors and our family, right? Our roots. So the law here, folks, is that energy in the root chakra. So if you're not in the root chakra at all, if you're disembodied, if you're spiritually bypassing and staying up in your upper chakras and up in your head all the time, no matter how often you visualize something, it's not going to turn into physical manifestation. And the opposite of that to a certain degree is true. I have a friend who is very root chakra, he has a whole lot of energy in his root chakra, but he's not very conscious of what he's thinking and wanting. A lot of that's happening on a subconscious level. So we're always laughing at how easy it is for him to manifest because his energy is in that repetitive root chakra realm, but he's not really calling upon the highest for what he wants. So he's manifesting things he often doesn't want. And we laugh about it pretty hard because he's such a manifester. So if either one of these are true for you, if you're really manifesting easily, you're going to want to pay a lot of attention to what you're manifesting, right? To what are the thoughts, what are the beliefs, what are the subconscious bodily feelings that are moving all this upper chakra energy down into your root, and then it's becoming repetitive in your root and manifesting. And likewise, if you're good visualizer and you really know what you want and you've been very prayerful about what you want and clear on a vision level, but it's not manifesting, then it could be the other, that you don't have much root chakra energy, okay? But the law here is, it's a law. If there's repetitive energy here, consistent energy here in the root, it will manifest. And I just briefly got to thinking just now about a movie that I just recently saw called Free Solo, where the climber, I'm trying to think of his name right now. What an amazing gentleman. They didn't say his name that much in the movie, actually. And you'll know him. He's famous by now, I'm sure. He climbed El Capitan, and he talked about how he practiced and practiced and practiced. And rocks are root chakra. The earth, mountains, stable energy is root chakra. He practiced every finger hold, every toe hold for 3,000 feet until he could go up El Capitan without a single rope and just having tiny little places vertically. He's up and down, 3,000 foot fall where he's just holding on to a little bit of rock. And he did that through repetition. So even an activity like that can be manifest and accomplished. So the law of physical manifestation. All right. Law number 2 for the sacral is the law of mirroring. It's also the law of reciprocity, and in some ways you can think of it as the law of karma. And it's this idea that we have the yin and the yang in this physical realm. In the 3D realm that we live in, we have, for instance, the socket and the plug. We have the yin and the yang, the feminine and the masculine. Even our own bodies pulsate with feminine energy and masculine energy, and they go back and forth so that the root is masculine, the sacral is feminine. Oh, and this is the sacral here in the hips, the feminine, the orange, and it's water, whereas the root chakra is earth. So you can feel they're just totally opposite. It's the river that flows through the earth. And the law here of mirroring and reciprocity is simply that whatever we put out there is not necessarily directly what we're getting back, but we're being affected by it. So we're affected by shadow. You could look at my videos on shadow. They're really essential, I think, for figuring out the deepest subconscious blocks that you might have in your chakras. Okay, so shadow is a big part of sacral, reciprocity, karma, that what we put out then comes back to us in some way, and also what we see out in the world, how we judge it, is a mirroring of our self-relationship. So this is probably the most key thing I can say here in the mirroring, that all relationships, especially dyads like this, all dyads back and forth, so your romantic relationship, your significant other, all dyads are a reflection of your dyad with yourself. So for instance, if you don't accept certain parts of yourself, you're not going to accept those parts in others. And you're going to have a combative relationship with those parts in others. So it's really key that we accept others and that we accept ourselves. So whereas with root, it's this manifestation energy of repetition, with the sacral chakra, it's this flowing infinity symbol, ongoing yin-yang of the pulsation of the inhale, exhale, right? There's me and there's you, and you are part of me and I'm part of you, and it's that back and forth mirroring. So there are many different theories on what exactly gets mirrored back. I particularly love shadow work, but the simplest way that I would put it, and I'm not saying that mine is right, I'm sharing what I believe, and you should certainly feel into what you believe. But what I would say is that every part of your self-relationship is mirrored in some way in your relationship with others. Because that's how the universe taught us. It knew that our own shadow parts, our own weaknesses are blind for us. They're blind spots. So the way they show up is in our relationships. And what we resist in our relationships is what we're resisting within ourselves, and what we accept in our relationships is what we're accepting with ourselves. So obviously, it's really important to do really good work with yourself, to be working with self-love, especially of your inner child or your inner children, all the different ages, and just really working with a lot of acceptance of yourself, because as we're growing up, we're taught, we all are taught on one level or another, consciously or unconsciously within our family, to not accept certain parts of ourselves. Certain parts were made wrong. And you are a divine being, and there is no part of you that is wrong. There are parts that are more conscious and unconscious. There's parts that are more social and not as social, but there's no part of you that's wrong, because all of you is divine energy. So there we have the sacral law, the law of mirroring or reciprocity. The third law for the solar plexus, your solar plexus is here in the solar plexus, in the core of your body. It's the fiery masculine, whereas the sacral was the watery feminine, the flowing emotional chakra. This is the fiery warrior energy. And this part of you has so much can-do and so much confidence. This is the part that takes action. So the law here for the solar plexus is the law of creative power. This is where you have the creative energy to join the universe to create whatever you want. And this is why it becomes so important that to completely own your solar plexus energy, you need to make sure you stay out of victim consciousness. This part of you is the part of you, I should say this part being the powerful part, the creator part, is the part that's always looking at patterns in your own life and always looking at what you want and what you don't want, and playing with the chakras and with the stuff of the universe to create what you want. And knowing that what you want is no singular thing. We are all evolving in every moment. I've said this in other videos, that you are a verb. We think of ourselves as nouns because we can touch ourselves and we can touch another. So we do have embodiment. We do, and we have consistent embodiment. But we are a verb in that we are always changing in every single moment, in every millisecond. We are evolving and evolving and evolving and changing and changing and changing. So we, like everything else in the universe, we are a creative project happening. We are a verb. And in the same way, we get to be the creator, the co-creator, because we want to work with all divine energies around us, because all divine energies around us are God, and all energy within us is God. So we want to work, we want to co-manifest, co-create with the universe. And that just means being aware of, we're not trying to just masculinely force things, but we are having that powerful feeling of, this is my creation. This is my creation. And as you hold on to that feeling in your solar plexus, you do become more of that powerful creator. And the moment, and here's the red flag that I want to tell you about, the thing that takes you out of this law is the moment you feel like a victim, no matter what it was. It could be you're a victim of the past, to your parents and how you were brought up. You're a victim to an ex who treated you in a certain way. You're a victim to your boss at work. You're a victim to a disease that you have. You're a victim to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've given your power up to any of these things. It's not easy to take your power back from those things, but this law is asking you to do that, because the only way you can enact this law is when you're fully aligned with it. And when you have victim energy, you're not aligned with it. Now, I want to make a really clear caveat here. We all have losses in this life. We're in a physical realm and we are immortal spirits. So as immortal spirits, we have so much love. We have so much deep feeling. We're really these awesome, soulful creatures. And yet, we keep coming against these things in life that hurt. We might lose a loved one. Either they go away or they literally pass. There's a lot of grieving. There's a lot of loss. And what I want to say is that that is not being, first of all, you want to grieve your losses. Second of all, you do not want to be invulnerable. You want to be vulnerable. And I know that seems opposite to power, but what you need to do for your body is, in order to be in full creative power, you need to acknowledge whatever your body's feeling, especially in time and space. If you have a loss, if you lose something, or if someone seems like they're being aggressive to you. Now remember, this is part of your dance with yourself because of the law of mirroring and reciprocity. So if you bring it back to that, you'll gain your power back. But you can't skip the phase of either grief if you've lost something, or anger or victimization if you feel like someone is hurting you in some way. So don't skip the stage. I know this sounds like a contradiction, but what I'm trying to say is the body, this body, you have your spirit, energy, and awareness that resides more in the upper chakras of the body, and that part of you always forgives and knows what's better and is intuitive and all that. But there's this body cellular part of you that has fears and likes and dislikes, experiences, and it needs to feel its experiences. It needs to grieve, or it needs to feel angry when it needs to feel angry. It needs to go through the different stages of life. So I have found for me personally that I can go through these stages much faster now, as long as I completely allow them, I don't judge them, while also still keeping in mind that I am a creator, and that I am divine. I am a slice of divinity happening, unfolding, as are you. So those are our lower chakra laws for the chakras. Let's go on to chakra number 4, the heart, right here. Now, as you know, this is the middle chakra in your energy field. So I always like to remind you that this tells you about your essence, because you don't have to try to be nice. When you balance all your chakras, if you even just do some of my chakra meditations where we go up and down the chakras, this will balance your chakras and you will naturally go into your heart. Like when I do this with a group, I naturally feel the whole group's heart, the collective heart, open. So the cool thing about the heart, which its name in Sanskrit is Anahata, it's the green chakra that's air, so it's breezy and light and loving. The cool thing about the heart is that when you're here, when you balance, you're in your essence, you're in your heart. So it happens automatically if you balance the rest of your chakras that you'll end up in your heart, because it's your center point. Okay, it's your ground zero, as it were, which means your essence is love, which brings me to this law. The law of the heart chakra is the law of love and acceptance. Now, acceptance and love should go hand in hand, but since we have so many notions of love that are romantic, where they're more solar plexus type love, preferential, I like this, I don't like that, I want this, I don't want that, there's nothing wrong with that kind of love, but I'm talking about agape love here. I'm talking about our essence, the natural connection that we have with ourselves and with others, and the natural acceptance that we have of others, so there's peace between all of us. And the law of love and acceptance is that it simply is our nature. Love is our nature. And when we are in love, and therefore in full acceptance of others exactly as they are, and first and foremost in acceptance of ourselves, so any war ends within and we can be more accepting of others. Think about this. This is interesting. Even though you don't realize it, you are a piece of the hologram of the divine, so you are a slice of the divine. And we have found through studies that they've cut holograms. They've taken a piece of a hologram, shined a light through it, and saw that the whole was in the piece. So the whole of God energy is within you as a piece of God energy. Isn't that awesome? So that means that everything that could ever be, because God is everything that could ever be, is actually within you. It's actually within you, everything. So if you have full self-acceptance, a full love of yourself for anything that shows up in who you are, then you automatically have full love for everyone else. Because that's the law of mirroring again, the sacral law. And Therefore, when we're not accepting others, we can often know what we're not accepting in ourselves, and vice versa, right? But this important law is the law that can bring love on the planet. Can we simply accept ourselves fully and therefore accept others? This doesn't have to be the wrap your arms around them type of love. This is the peaceful, I respect who you are, I accept who you are, as another slice of the divine. It's very, very confidence building that we're all part of divinity, and it's also very humbling that we're all part of divinity. Can you feel that? And that's the balance between the humility of the heart and the confidence of the third chakra. So the law here is the law of love and acceptance. Now the law for the throat chakra, let's look at the law here. You probably know what it is, because the throat chakra is all about honesty and authenticity. So this is the law of truth. The law of truth. Now we have some old adages that go around that say the truth will set you free. And yet so many people are afraid of the truth. Why are we so afraid of the truth? Well, first of all, because a lot of people go around saying that something's truth, and it's really just their opinion. It's really just an aimed thing. And then, by the way, you know the throat chakra's here. It's blue. It's the vibratory chakra of sound and frequency of vibration. And it's the beginning of the upper chakras. So now we're talking about, we're in more of the spiritual realm now. And this is where truth and honor is. The name of this chakra is Vishuddha in Sanskrit. And Vishuddha means purity. So we're getting more pure here. We're purifying. We're no longer allowing ourselves to kid ourselves. But I think the reason that truth can be so challenging is because our ego likes to call the shots. We really don't like to let go of how outcomes turn out. And so we tell ourselves that if I tell the truth of that, I don't know, it's gonna, my partner may leave me if I tell them the truth about something I did. Let's say if you had an affair, right? Well, but yet that truth, or that lie, that lack of truth between you and your partner is sitting there as a film, as a wall, as a block, right? Because you know it and they don't, and it's different from the vow that you've made to each other, if you've made that vow. And yet, we want to control the outcome of, some people say, I don't want to set my partner. What they may mean is, I don't want my partner to get mad at me or drop me. We sometimes put agendas out there. We fool ourselves to think we have a positive agenda when we actually have more of a selfish agenda, meaning we make it look like we have an altruistic. I want to spare my partner, but what we really mean is I want to spare myself my partner's reaction. I want to spare my life the problems that would happen if I was truthful. I don't think any of us can be 100% truthful, because truth is different in every moment, and that we, as I said earlier, are evolving in every moment. But we can certainly have full intention toward it, and most importantly, full trust of giving the outcomes to the divine. Now feel into that, because it's impossible to be truthful, absolutely truthful and honest, and not brutal, like opinionated truth that's kind of immature and easy, but truthful about what you're wanting, about what you're feeling, about who you are, about what you do. That's real easy, because that's literal, right? Whether you did this or you didn't do that. Open with your partner, your friends, your family, a stranger if you'd like. All of this is really a test of whether you're willing to let go of outcomes. Because the whole reason people tend to not tell truth is to manipulate outcomes. Think about that. Think about the last time you didn't tell a truth because you wanted to manipulate an outcome. And I'd like you to feel into whether it would actually be better. Perhaps the divine has a much better outcome for you than you could ever imagine. And you might have to go through some losses, right? Especially if you're in a place that you've built on some untruths. Now you're going to have to go through some losses to readjust, to gain equilibrium, to come to the law of truth. But I have found the more truthful I am in my life, to myself, to what I really want, my inner truth and my outer truth, the more I have faith in truth and I let go of the reins and let them happen, the more amazed I am with the incredible things that come into my life. And I'm going to give that caveat one more time. There are some losses. If you have built a lot of your life on untruths and you want to open up your throat chakra, to open it and to begin to become true is going to be the falling away of many structures. For instance, if you have a job that you hate, but you went in the interview and you told them that you love to do all the things in the job, but you don't, as soon as you get truthful about that, you're probably going to have to let go of that job, or you're going to get fired because they're not going to like the fact that you're being honest about what you really feel and you're trying to change the type of work that you do. And the same is true in a relationship. The same is true with just about anything, right? So two big proponents for the truth in relationship are Gay and Kathleen Hendricks, and they have written some amazing books. You can look up their relationship books. They have always stressed total truth, transparency in relationship. And some of us are even horrified by that thought, but I am just invigorated when I read their books. And I won't go on a big aside. A couple of their books, Gay tells some really great, shares some personal experiences of them being truthful and how and what that did. And what you see is that truth in the realm of love, where there's love and agreement to accept and grow together, always clears the way for more growth, because the fifth chakra, the throat chakra, is the growth chakra. So, the law of truth. Okay, number 6, the third eye. This is your third eye, right? It's the chakra of the highest feminine, your wise. This was your highest masculine with honor and truth, and now this is your highest feminine for your inner knowing, for your fairness to all, your highest perspective, like you're looking from the top of a mountain. And you get it from going inward, because you have so many lives experience inside of you. And when you go inside, you become in touch with more and more your divine energy, which is this intelligence that is unlimited and alive in every moment. So the law here of the third eye is the law of higher knowing. I could also say inner knowing, but I wanted to say higher knowing because the law here is that your true intuition, and you can tell when it's speaking because it stays consistent. It's always loving. It never like says something negative to you or pushes you in a way that, like, even if it's trying to bid you to do something really courageous, it feels very soft and supportive and loving, because this is the highest feminine energy. So I want to make sure that you understand which voice is this higher knowing, because when you tap into this higher knowing, the law here is that this higher knowing trumps all other forms of knowing through the body. So it trumps logic. So when your intuition, for instance, with me, when my intuition said, create these chakra healing tattoos, create thousands of them for the world, I was like, what? My logical side was, what? And part of my logical side was like, that's pretty cool. But the part that went down the road of like, what are people going to say and all that kind of stuff, all those parts of me were like, that's just craziness. And yet I followed that law of inner knowing because the nudge was undeniable and repetitive, and I couldn't let it go. Now that's a life path thing. That's a big thing for me. On certain things, you'll get a nudge, and you'll notice you'll get it over and over and over again. Maybe you're in a job you don't want, and the universe is trying to show you the direction to go, or in a relationship, or where you live, or anything. Health could be health as well, but whatever nudges you're getting, they could be like, do it now. It could be small. It could be put money into that meter right now, and you could have a logic that tells you, you know, they never collect around here. I've got 15 minutes till it's over. That could be your logic, but the inner knowing saying put money in the meter, you put money in the meter. You just do. The law of inner knowing is that the inner knowing, when it is kind, respectful, clear, often repetitive, very supportive, when that inner knowing voice speaks up, you listen to it, and it trumps your logic, and it trumps your emotions too. Because logic's in the third chakra, and emotions are in the second chakra, and fear is in the root chakra, or your need for safety, if you want to call it that rather than fear. Those three things often lead our decisions. And when you get clarity, and you, especially when you're meditating and you out of nowhere get answers about things, that's another big sign. When it wasn't brought on by logic, but it was brought on by meditation or by closing your eyes and going within, whatever you want to call that. Doesn't have to be called meditation. When that's happening, that's your inner knowing. And when it's your inner knowing, that trumps emotion, logic, and fear, or your need to play it safe. It trumps all of those, and you go for it. Okay, that's the law of higher knowing. And then finally, the last one, the crown chakra. This one is pretty simple, and it's perhaps in some ways the hardest one to remember in an embodied way. Your crown chakra is your connection to everything. It's actually off your body. It's a violet when it's near the body, and then it becomes white. That's why we associate white with spirit. Your crown chakra has no masculine or feminine energy because it represents everything. It represents all the cosmos, everything in the cosmos, everything that will ever be made and ever was. And it's just, can you wrap your mind and heart around that it's absolutely the all? And so the law here is the law of oneness. Because at the root, we have just a ton of separation at the root chakra. We have lots of different manifestations of the same God energy. So you and I are the same divine intelligence, but we have differences in us because we are that intelligence being manifest in different ways. At the crown, there's nothing but intelligence, awareness, cosmic love, whatever you want to call it. There's this moving energy, and that energy is the same base energy in all of his existence. So I want to be clear with the law of oneness. The law of oneness does not contradict the idea that we have separateness. A lot of times in a non-dual philosophy, which is what I definitely carry, which is that we don't have, one thing or the other, we have it all. It's just our logical mind can't wrap around this. So don't try to get to this from your logical mind. Try to understand this from your sense of being it all, okay? The law of oneness is that we are all one at the base level of energy, at the cosmic or at the cosmic conscious level of energy. It's the same life spark in all of us, the same intelligence. And because it is, and because this intelligence blankets everything, we are actually one. And many people like to say, well, then we are God. We are the one intelligence, the one energy. And we are. But we are the one energy that came to this material plane to know itself. Because the one energy, when it was only one thing, could not know itself. That's kind of like, again, the sacral law of reciprocity. We learn about ourselves through the other and through what we see mirrored and reflected back to us. Well, here, God herself, or himself, or itself, God itself, gets to know itself living through us as all these emanations of divine energy. So it's not that we're all one and therefore we can't be separate, or we're all separate, therefore we can't be one, because in the world of energy, in the world of spirit, it's okay. Those things can exist at the same time, and they do. So I invite you to embrace that. So those are the laws of the chakras, and I talked a little about each, so I hope that you can actually use them, because there's base teachings in each one of those that actually helps you open and maintain openness in each one of your chakras and get the most out of each one. And as you do that, you're more in alignment, right? And as you're more in alignment, you are more yourself, because that is the only thing we all have in common, is that our alignment is the same, but as each of us aligns our own combo lock, right? We line into our combo lock, our own opening occurs. And my opening is different than your opening. In other words, what I go and do and what I feel and see and what I bring into the world is different from yours. But the thing that's the same is that we get into that alignment to trigger that to happen. And that is super exciting. And that is why I work with the chakras. because I love them. They're the unified map for all of us that allow us to have our uniqueness and allow us to have our oneness as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a blessed week.